And welcome to HS Game Time Live, final week of the regular season for high school football, and we've got a ton of great highlights coming your way. Plus, we'll break down all the scores and we'll get analysis as teams were playing for league championships as well as playoff seedings. The CIF playoffs they'll unveil their matchups for the first round of the playoffs this Sunday. So how would this all shake down in Week 10 of the high school football season? Okay, first, we're going to start in the Southwestern League where Vista Marietta and Chaparral were playing. Now, Chaparral, if they could somehow beat the Broncos, they'd really shake up the standings and also the playoff seedings and who would fall where when the CIF unveil the matchups on Sunday. So let's go to the scoreboards right now from the Southwestern League and show you what happened. Chris Erickley was down there. He will have the highlights as the Broncos toss the shutout against the Pumas, 38-0, your final score. So Vista Marietta is your Southwestern League champion and more than likely the number one seed in the Inland Division when the CIF playoffs come out on Sunday. Okay, also from the Southwestern League, let's go to the next score. Murrieta Valley also with a shutout blanking Temecula Valley, 49-0. So Murrieta Valley finishes 4-1 in league, second place in the Southwestern. And one more score from the Southwestern League. Great Oak, they get the win against Murrieta Mesa, 37-21. All right, now we're going to move on to the Sun Belt League. And Chris Erickley was down there as well. He'll have highlights of Elsinore hooking up with Heritage. They were playing for the league championship. And there is the score. Heritage is a winner, 37-20. That is a final. So the Patriots win the Sun Belt League crown once again. And they will be a force when the CIF playoffs begin. And also Temescal Canyon, they beat Paris 35-22. So Temescal Canyon 3-2 in the Sun Belt. And one more score from the Sun Belt League. And that would be Lakeside and Paloma Valley. Paloma Valley all over the Lancers, 56-7, your final score. All right, back here live in the studio. The highlights moving on to the land of the Big Eight. Centennial taking on Santiago for the league championship. Now, Centennial has dominated this league in recent years, but Santiago enjoying a great season. They were home tonight against the Huskies. Maybe that would help and put the Sharks over the top and take that league crown away from Centennial, which we mentioned they've owned for so long in the Matt Logan era. All right, let's go to the highlights. Let's go out there. Angel Ortiz, the man on the scene, shooting some great stuff as usual. Early on, Centennial giving the ball to Austin Rankin. He rips off a big run for the Huskies. And then later on that same drive, he did the work. Time to get paid. Rankin goes in for the touchdown for Centennial. Back the other way. Quarterback Michael Darr for the Sharks to Jordan Huffman. The big gain into the red zone, and the Sharks would score later on that drive. And then back comes Centennial. It's my beats by Trey. Trey Watson beating the defense here. He's going to get to the pylon and in for the score. And Centennial and Santiago went back and forth in the first half for a while. Darr to Dorian Barnett. Good catch here, crosses midfield, but Centennial forces the ball loose on the play, causing the fumble. Then later, Weber to Chase Cravache. Shakes his man right there. Cravache with a big gain. And then later on that same drive, Weber hooking up with Cravache once again. Gets to the sideline and in for the score for Centennial. It was a shootout in the first half. Darr to Huffman. Now this is going to be a pretty good duo. That's Darr to Huffman's a tough duo to beat. All the way past the 20, down to the 10-yard line. And then it's Michael Darr on the keeper, calls his own number, and he goes in for the touchdown. As we mentioned, back and forth in the first half, the Sharks hanging with Centennial. Then it's my beats by Trey. Trey Watson in for the touchdown. And Centennial just piling on at this point. They had the offense going. Weber to Ryan Pascarella in for the touchdown. And to make matters worse for Santiago, they had the ball. Michael Darr hit hard on this play, goes down on his knee, what appears to be his knee, and he would actually leave the game for the Sharks as Centennial goes on to the big victory. And I don't have it in front of me at this moment, but it was, I believe, 70-28, I think it was. But and if we have the ticker, we can bring that up as well. But I think it was like 70-28. But Centennial, the big winner. EPJ just walked in the door. Eric Paul Johnson was at the game, and he tells me that Centennial set a school record. And we'll have to get him in here to confirm this. But I think it was like 700. 70-28. Is that what I said? I think that's what I said, 70-28. And EPJ said 724 yards of total offense for Centennial as the Huskies wrap up yet another Big 8 League championship. All right, let's go to the Big 8 scoreboard and check out all the scores from the Big 8 in Week 10 of the high school football season. Centennial Santiago, the big game from the Big 8, but not the biggest game in the Big 8. Norco and King, they were playing as, Norco needed to win to get into the playoffs. There's the big game, though, 70-28. Centennial is your champion. Santiago finishes 4-1, a runner-up in the Big 8. There it is, Norco. They're heading to the playoffs. They win 29-8. They finished 6-4 overall, 3-2 in league. The Cougars losing to Centennial and Santiago this season. And one more score from the land of the Big 8, Roosevelt and Corona. Tony Brill and the Mustangs pick up a big win, a shootout with the Panthers, 52-41. Roosevelt is a winner. All right, back here live in the studio, we're going to take a quick look at the HS Game Time rankings, where each week we say 1 to 10 who's the best teams in the inland area in Southern California. Angel, let's punch those up and take a quick look at how the teams were ranked going into Week 10 of the high school football season. As no surprise here, Vista Murrieta 1, Centennial 2, Citrus Hill 3. Those have been our top 3 pretty much the entire season as we head into the playoffs. And followed by Murrieta Valley, Carter, Chaparral, Summit, Redlands, Santiago, and Heritage. So maybe some shakeup. I'm not sure. We know Redlands did lose, and Chaparral lost tonight, and Heritage a winner. So there could be some movement in the top 10 rankings. All right, back here live in the studio, Dennis Pope, one of our reporters, was at the Inland Valley League Championship game, or part of the Inland Valley League Championship, because Rancho Verde was in the mix, but he was at Arlington versus North. We're going to have those highlights a little bit later in the show as those two schools battled. The winner would get a share of the IVL Championship. Let's go to the scoreboards from the Inland Valley League tonight. Tell you how those schools did. We're going to get to those in just a second. We can tell you, though, that the Rancho Verde, if they beat Vista Del Lago, they had a piece of the league championship, and the winner of Arlington North would also split it with the Mustangs tonight. All right, here they are. North knocking off the Lions, 28-6. So North earns a share of the Inland Valley League Championship. And let's go to the next scoreboard. The Rancho Verde taking on Vista Del Lago, and the Mustangs roll 42-0. So Rancho Verde and North finish 5-1 in league, and they are your champions. And one more from the IVL, Valley View blanks Canyon Springs 35-0. Now let's go straight to the River Valley scores from tonight. Norte Vista caps off a perfect league season, defeating Patriot 24-16. So the Braves enter the brave new world of the River Valley, and they capture the championship. All right, Javier, let's go to the next score from the River Valley League. Still waiting for that. Actually, you know what? We have Moreno Valley and La Sierra. I believe it was 30-6, the final score. So the Vikings defeating La Sierra in that one. And do we have one more, the Ramona Jurupa Valley score? There it is. Jurupa Valley edging the Rams 43-41. So Ramona ends the season 0-10 overall. All right, back here live in the studio. The highlights rolling on to the Mountain Valley League as Rim of the World headed down from the Lake Arrowhead area, took on Banning for the league championship. Banning was undefeated. Rim had just the one loss. They lost to Citrus Valley, but if they could somehow beat the Broncos, they would earn a share of the Mountain Valley League Championship. All right, let's go to the highlights. Banning and Rim of the World. The Fighting Scots making the trip down to our neck of the woods. And there come the Broncos. And if you know anything about Banning and Rim of the World, they each have two great running backs. In fact, statistically, the top two in the area, that is Jacob Taylor for the Fighting Scots. Breaks off that long touchdown run. Well, Taylor's good. So is the Sty Hairston Experience. The Banning quarterback in for the score. That means push-ups out there at Banning for the cheerleaders. And then Jacob Taylor, he goes in for another Rim of the World touchdown. You know what the teams are going to do? It's just hard to stop them. Jacob Taylor and Sty Hairston are two of the best. And there goes Sty Hairston. There's Taylor actually trying to chase him down. But Sty Hairston goes in for another touchdown. Rim of the World will take a 20-14 lead here on Taylor's third touchdown of the night. So Rim of the World and Banning going back and forth. Jacob Taylor versus Sty Hairston. And Sty Hairston says, I'll take that and raise you one. How about another Sty Hairston touchdown run? This game is a shootout, and Banning is your winner, 49 41. So Banning goes undefeated in the Mountain Valley and wins the league championship. So congratulations to the Banning Broncos, and Sty Harrison getting some water, well-deserved after that long touchdown run. All right, let's crank up the scoreboard and check out the other scores from the Mountain Valley League, Week 10 of the high school football season. There it is, 49-41. Wow, Banning, 9-1 overall on the season. Great season out there for the Broncos. Rim of the World, they had a great season too, 8-2, 3-2 in league play. Also from the Mountain Valley, Citrus Valley wins 28-21 against Rupa Hills, so the Blackhawks finished 3-2 in the Mountain Valley. And one more score from the Mountain Valley League. Rubidoux over Notre Dame down at RCC, 45-13. The Falcons finish 8-2 overall this season. All right, back here live in the studio. The highlights now rolling on to the Mountain Pass League, where Citrus Hill has reigned supreme in the Mountain Pass League for a while. They were looking to cap off another undefeated season in league play as they hosted West Valley of Hemet tonight. All right, let's go out there to the highlights. Citrus Hill and West Valley, the Hawks, all fired up for this one. Looking to go into the playoffs on a high note. But early on, West Valley looking strong here. That's the Mustangs. Jordan Tabor coming up with the interception, and that would lead to Austin Roselle to John Goodman for the touchdown. So West Valley out in front early, 7-zip on Citrus Hill. So how would the Hawks respond? Trevor Hodge to KJ Young right into your living room. And that ties the game 7-7 on the KJ Young touchdown catch. Then back the other way, the Mustangs, Roselle, the deep ball to Lorenzo Terry. And West Valley hanging tough on the road at Citrus Hill. Big gain there. But later on that drive, Jack Brown coming up big for Citrus Hill. He's got the interception to end that West Valley drive. They would capitalize off their favorite pastry, the turnover. Where's Hodge? Has anyone seen Trevor Hodge? There he is! The deuce is loose, and Hodge goes in for the touchdown, and Citrus Hill goes on top 14-7. It was a shootout, but we did have some moments of defense. There's Melvin Williams throwing the man down hard for the tackle there. But how about some more offense here? No, actually, it's more defense on this play because Terry is coming up with the interception for West Valley. But, one great defensive play deserves another. There's a great tackle there. And then here's another moment, one of the few moments of defense in this big-time shootout. That's Steven Van Hook, the star on the defensive side of the ball for Citrus Hill, coming up with a big stop there. And then later, how about more offense? Roselle to Elijah Brown with his fingertips making that catch in the end zone, and we're all tied up at 14. Later, second quarter, Hodge to KJ Young. He had a couple great catches for Citrus Hill tonight. No big shocker there. That would set up this P.J. Walker touchdown run, and Citrus Hill's back in front 21-14. And then it's Hodge going back to his favorite target, KJ Young. Check out this one. Wrestles the ball away. That's a big gain there for the Hawks, and that would set up another Walker touchdown. Just slip into your PJs. Feeling comfortable as Citrus Hill goes on to a shootout victory against West Valley, 76-41, your final score in that one. All right, now let's go to Tockwitz taking on Beaumont. That would be the second place game in the Mountain Valley League. Both teams squaring off, trying to finish runner-up to Citrus Hill. And then third quarter, and this one's where we pick it up, quarterback Jacob Ulabari to Allen Hindy for the touchdown, but Beaumont was down 21-14. Then Beaumont gets another touchdown here. That ties the game at 21. But then Tocquitz's Talton Tavares. Check out this catch. Hauls it in there, and Tockwitz regains the lead 27-21. Now to the fourth quarter, Ulabari rolls out, hooks up with the former quarterback, Josh Martin. That's a touchdown catch, and Beaumont takes the lead 28-27. Then it's Greg Rincon. Check out this run by the Beaumont tailback. Down the sideline he goes and in for the score, and Beaumont's up 35-27. Tockwitz looking to battle back. Tim Neely, welcome to Neelyville, 35-33. So Tockwitz goes for the two-point conversion to tie the game. They don't get it. Beaumont's defense comes up big time, and Beaumont wins against Tockwitz. Final score of 35-33. Wow, great finish there between Beaumont and Tockwitz. Citrus Hill wins the title, but Beaumont finishing runner-up. All right, let's go to the scoreboard real quick from the Mountain Pass League. Punch up those scores. We'll kind of break it all down for you. There's 3 games tonight. As we told you, Citrus Hill winning that shootout with West Valley, and then Beaumont and Tockwitz going back and forth in this one. There's the other score we left out. San Jacinto, a 1-point winner against Hsgt, 27-26. So Hsgt finishes 1-9, 0-5 in the Mountain Pass. San Jacinto 2-3, 6-4 overall. All right, now joining us, there it is, 35-33. That's where we're going next because our guy here, Hsgt Cabrera, was at that game, Beaumont against Tockwitz. When you got there, Beaumont was home, and they were trailing against Tockwitz. So what happened in the second half is Beaumont got a spark. Maybe it was our HS Game Time camera kind of inspired them.
Yeah, as soon as I got there, it was halftime. It was 21-7 Tockwitz. And then in the second half, I don't know what Beaumont did. I guess, as you said, High School Game Time was there, and they got hyped up. They ended up scoring 28 points in that second half, and then, they got some good stops. But definitely Beaumont was on fire in the second half.
All right, so take me back to, so Tockwitz scores to make it 35-33. They're going for the 2-point conversion to tie the game, and Beaumont's defense comes up big. Was that place just going crazy?
Well, actually, the first try that Tockwitz had, they were trying to pass the ball, and I guess it was a pass interference. So they redid the 2-point conversion, and then they got the big stop. But yeah, as soon as they got that big stop, Beaumont was going crazy.
So they're going to finish runner-up to Citrus Hill. And I saw that you've seen Beaumont a couple times. Josh Martin, who usually plays quarterback number 2, was out there catching touchdown passes for Beaumont this time around. That was good to see. So that's Ulibarri, number 11, going in for the score. So Beaumont, they head to the playoffs. Like we said, you've seen Beaumont several times. Are you impressed, Hav?
Of course. They're my favorite team right now.
And you know what? HS Game Time loves Beaumont, too, and they love us back. All right. Yeah. Ja Rule.
Crazy thing is that Coach Pike, he was my world history teacher in 10th grade at Fontana High School in 2005.
And he's at Beaumont now?
Yeah, he's one of the coaches there.
Did he recognize you?
I don't know. He's always looking at me, but I'm too afraid to talk to him because he's always intimidating. He has that intimidating face. So if Coach Pike, if you're watching this, I was one of your students in 2005 at Fontana High School.
It's your boy, Hsgt Cabrera, Coach Pike. What did he teach again?
World history.
World history. Wow. All right, Coach Pike, Ja Rule, you're the man. Good job, brother. All right, now let's go to the scoreboards again, Angel. We're going to check out, there it is, the 76-41 as Citrus Hill does cap off that perfect season, 10-0 overall, Mountain Pass League champion, 76-41. All right, also tonight for the Mountain Pass, there it is, San Jacinto, the 1-point winner against Hsgt, 27-26, and one more from the Mountain Pass League. That was the Beaumont-Tockwitz score, Beaumont 35-33, the big stop on the 2-point conversion. All right, now to the Citrus Belt League scoreboard. A couple scores from there to get by you as Redlands East Valley earns a share of the CBL crown, beating Cajon 35-14. So the Wildcats, remember they had to forfeit that one game. Or actually, they didn't get any credit for it against Rancho Christian. So they finished 5-4 with only 9 games this season, but 4-1 in the CBL. And Yucaipa, BG3, Billy Gustafson, my boy, the quarterback for the T-Birds. They beat Miller 17-7. So Yucaipa 6-4 overall on the season. All right, back here live in the studio, as we told you, Redlands East Valley earned a share of the Citrus Belt League Championship, but they're splitting the title with Eisenhower. Ike went on the road to Redlands and pulled out a gutty victory against the Terriers on the road. Let's check out those highlights.
Terriers and Eagles playing for Citrus Belt glory. Third quarter, Michael Neal, the big tackle for the loss for the Eagles. Toga time out at Dodge Stadium, but would they be cheering on the Redlands side? Quarterback Jimmy Walker hooks up with Mr. Reliable Jordan Ori for the big game. Then later on that drive, it's Walker finding Ori once again. The nice move to slip past his defender, and he goes all the way down to the 1-yard line, nearly punches it in. Same drive. Redlands going for the touchdown here. The pass is tipped, and Clarence Mabone comes up with the interception in the end zone for Eisenhower. After the turnover, the Eagles march back the other way, and they cap off a long 80-yard drive with a Tawan Green touchdown, and Eisenhower takes a 14-7 lead on the Terriers. Redlands star running back Craig Lee, who's headed to UCLA, saw limited action, still nursing an injured shoulder that he suffered in the Smudge Pot game against Redlands East Valley. Lee getting a carry here in the fourth quarter. The Terriers trying to get him going for the tying score. But the Eagles would bottle up Lee. Vernon Willis coming up with a big stop in the backfield to shut down Lee. Now we fast forward to the fourth quarter with under 5 minutes to play. Fourth down for Redlands on the Ike 19. The Terriers go for it. Walker's pass is broken up by the Eagles' Trevin Island. Eisenhower would get the ball back and they would run out the clock. Eisenhower is guaranteed a co-championship in the Citrus Belt League with a 14-7 win. The Eagles are 2012 CBL champs.
The champ is here! I knew we could be physical, I knew we could hit, and I hoped we could wear them down as the game went on. I felt like we wore them down a little bit, you know, and credit to Redlands, they're a great team. It was a great high school football game, and our defense stepped up and made a great play, you know, saved my butt from the going for it, and made the stand, and couldn't be more happy for our kids. They're awesome.
CBL champ, how's it sound?
CBL freaking champions. Is that amazing? The champ is here, man. I'm proud of our kids. They deserve it.
We really did have something to prove. We said we wanted to bring Ike back, and that's exactly what we did. But without them, without playing like a family, it wouldn't have been possible. I wouldn't call this game as upset, personally. We worked too hard for this since January. We've been working for this moment right here. We embraced it, and we took it.
So congratulations to Eisenhower splitting the CBL championship with Redlands East Valley as the Eagles head to the playoffs as the number 2 team out of the CBL. Also on Thursday night, Summit capped off their undefeated season in the Sunkist League as they tossed a shutout against Colton. Let's go to those highlights from Thursday night.
We pick up the highlights in the first quarter. Summit quarterback Jacob Jordan moving the chains with a nice pass here. Then later on that drive, it's Junior Davis hauling in this touchdown catch, squeezing in between the defenders, and he gives the Skyhawks a 7-0 lead. Then later, how about some Summit defense? Keenan Sykes, the big stop in the backfield there. Then later, Justin Strong, in at running back for Summit, rips off a nice run here for the Skyhawks. But later on that drive, Colton would come up big. Jordan Ahoney, the interception off the tip pass for the Yellow Jackets. But you can only slow down Summit for so long. In the second quarter, it's Davis on the touchdown run as Summit goes on to win 28-0, your final score. Summit is your Sunkist League champion and likely the number 1 seed in the Central Division playoffs.
A lot more highlights and scores to get you to. Chris Erikley is standing by. He has highlights of Vista Marietta taking on Chaparral for the Southwestern League title. Also, Elsinore and Heritage hooking up for the Sun Belt League Championship. Chris has those highlights, plus we'll recap all the stuff, including the Big 8 League Championship, Centennial and Santiago. And speaking of Centennial, the Huskies had a special moment against Roosevelt between the head coach's daughter, Sammy Logan, and the receiver, Jordan Dye. Let's take a look at that story.
Are you going to send it in?
2 players, 1 pass, linked together by the loss of their mothers to breast cancer. Centennial head football coach Matt Logan, who lost his wife to breast cancer in 2007, had his daughter, Sammy, a senior, play in the Huskies game versus Roosevelt and throw this pass to Jordan Dye, whose mother also passed away from cancer just last year.
I was really nervous. Like the day before, I was like really, really nervous. And then when I got here, I was okay, and we kind of warmed up and stuff. And then when it was time for me to go in, I was just smiling because I just heard everyone, and all the support I had. It was pretty awesome. So I just went out there with a smile and tried my hardest.
Once we ended up going in, it was kind of an emotional thing, just thinking I got to do this for my mom, her mom, the school, anybody that's ever suffered from breast cancer, and just show them that we really care about it.
An idea that had been in the works for a while, a fitting tribute in October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We got closer to the season, she kept kind of bugging me a little bit more, and then we kind of thought that it'd be a great way to do it in this month with the Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Logan's pass to Dye was not the first time she threw a pigskin.
We played flag football one year, probably 7th grade, and I was quarterback, and we actually went undefeated that year, so it was pretty fun, yeah.
Sammy also caught her dad's attention while tossing around a varsity-sized football during the Centennial Powder Puff game.
She was playing with our ball, so I was like, geez, I can't believe she can throw our ball that well.
He was all surprised, and then he kind of thought of this idea, and then he was like, oh my gosh, we should totally do it for the pink out game.
So they began preparing, practicing, getting Sammy ready to enter a varsity game with the head coach's approval, her dad. Coach Logan wasn't nervous, but excited.
I wasn't. I don't know why. You thought I would have been for safety purposes, but I wasn't. I don't know why. I felt comfortable in her ability, and she did a good job. Matter of fact, she even moved the running back and set it up for a good protection for her and everything else. So.
A special play on an emotional night. Family and friends were in attendance to support them in their stance against breast cancer.
Basically, my whole family, and I had an aunt come down from San Diego, and my cousin Tony Dye, that plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, actually came down to watch that game too, so it was really special.
Basketball is Sammy's game, and she will head to Cal State Fullerton to hoop it up. She invited her future basketball coaches to watch the football game.
I actually told my coaches, they thought it was actually really cool, the Fullerton coaches, so I invited them to the game, but they had a scrimmage in Las Vegas, so they couldn't end up making it, so, but yeah.
Maybe first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully.
There's a chance Sammy could see more action in a varsity football game. She's targeting the first round of the CIF playoffs as a possibility in hopes of throwing a touchdown pass in honor of her mom and women everywhere battling breast cancer. But in order to be ready for the playoffs, there's still work to be done.
How much more work do you got to put in? You feel comfortable out there? Do you need to go through some more practices?
I probably need to go through a few practices. It was hard at first because my dad was always yelling at me, like, because he always says I step out when I throw, so I have to like practice on that. So we'll try, yeah.
Whether she plays in a playoff game or not, Sammy and Jordan Dye will always share that special connection versus Roosevelt, honoring their mothers.
I know deep down she saw me make that catch, and she's probably really proud of me.
I always think about her. I bet she was pretty proud to look down and see me throw that, so in her honor.
All right, great story out there. Sammy Logan and Centennial, as you mentioned, as you might have heard, that she might play in the CIF playoffs and try to get a touchdown pass in honor of her mother. All right, let's go to the HS Game Time poll question from the week before. I'm going to punch up the numbers right here because I had them on the website since Wednesday, I believe it was. And we were asking which of these teams has surpassed preseason expectations. Maybe, I don't want to say surprised, but maybe a team that kind of was under the radar and ended up enjoying a pretty good season. Now, prior to last night, Marietta Valley was running away with the vote. And as of tonight, Marietta Valley and Eisenhower are now tied at 28% of the vote. So Marietta Valley and Ike getting 28% of the vote, Tahquitz 17, Banning 14, and Norta Vista 13. So the Nighthawks and the Eagles sharing the top spot. We'll give you the final results tomorrow on the Saturday Scouting Reports. All right, back here live in the studio. As we mentioned, Chris Erkley standing by. Vista Marietta versus Chaparral highlights, and Heritage hooking up with Elsinore. And we'll also have your highlights from the Big 8 and all over the inland area as we continue to look down all the scores and tell you who's into the playoffs and who's winning league championships in the final week of the high school football regular season. As you might have noticed, around here at the Press Enterprise, we're making a concerted effort to give you better coverage in the Southwest, in Southwest Riverside County, Marietta, the folks in Temecula, Elsinore, Menifee. So here's a quick look at what the Press Enterprise is doing, which is good news for you HS Game Time fans, because that's even more high school sports coverage from that area.
We're launching the Press Southwest. Our newspaper edition, distributed in Southwest Riverside County, will include more local content and a distinct new look, starting with its new front page and its new name. More local news, more local sports, and more local savings. With the latest news deadlines in Southwest Riverside County, we bring up-to-the-date City Council and School Board meeting recaps and the latest prep sports scores. A new and improved look with a front page will highlight local news, and the sports section will highlight local sports. John Hunneman, the preeminent voice and columnist of Southwest Riverside County, joins the Press Southwest staff to add more authentic and local perspective. The most extensive coverage of local news and local high school sports in Riverside County. More values from local businesses to make your shopping more convenient. The Press Enterprise Southwest. Start your day in the right direction.
So welcome back to HS Game Time Live. Mr. Traveling Man over here, Chris Erkley, back from the Southwest.
A real
You saw the
tour of the
promo.
Southwest, yeah. You may have heard my voice on there. I love the Southwest so much, I decided to go down there and not stop at one game. That wouldn't be enough.
No.
For me, that wouldn't quench my thirst. I needed two. And couple games that were definitely dominated by one team in particular.
A lot of games tonight league championships on the line. We thought, they could be very close. Most of them weren't. They were pretty lopsided. We're talking about these two guys here, Vista Marietta and Chaparral, playing for the Southwestern League title.
I've seen Vista Marietta a few times in my day, a.k.a. this season, and they definitely impress. That is for sure. Nick Stevens, Sua Cravens, Bryce Smith, the cook, the baker, the candlestick maker. Actually, I don't think they have anyone that goes by candlestick maker, but they've got quite a few PTPers, as Dickie Vitale would say. If we are, in fact, ready to fire away on those highlights, Vista Marietta taking on Chaparral in the final Southwestern League showdown.
We're almost ready, but let me jump in there real quick. Sua Cravens on this coming Friday, November 9th, will get his U.S. Army All-American jersey. It's the big high school football all-star game every year in San Antonio. They play in the Alamo Dome. I believe it's January 5th this year. So they're going to have a big presentation at Vista Marietta High School.
What a shocker. Imagine that.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him, but I guess he's pretty good.
Goes from special teams on the JV squad last year all the way to Rivals
US Army
top
All-American.
10. Imagine that.
And then on Tuesday, Kylie Fitz from Redlands East Valley will get his jersey in a special presentation.
How is his injury coming
Kylie Fitz. The press dog, John Murphy, was reporting that there is a slim chance, possibility, we might see him in the playoffs for Rev, who split the CBL crown. So we'll see if maybe the Wildcats can win their opener in the playoffs, their first-round game, and then maybe see Kylie down the road.
Strong performance for them tonight, that's for sure.
Yes, but we're good for Bronco highlights.
All right, ready to rock and roll, baby. It's Bronco highlights. That means two things. We've got the band playing the fight song, and we've got Coley Candell, Sua Cravens. Coley saying, hey, Sua, did you record HS Game Time? Come on, get it together. Hey, Sua getting it together on the first play of the game from Nick Stevens over there. Sua getting a little chippy with Chaparral. No love lost. How about this for a little dandy of a play? Sua, not even open in the least, makes the touchdown anyways, one of about 20 that he's had today, not today, on the season rather. Vista defense dominating as well. Bryce Smith comes up with the Chaparral fumble, and it's back to work on offense. More of the same. Stevens to Cravens, right up in the grill, getting up close and personal with the camera. I know Sua loves the camera. Vista Marietta, all about fundraisers. Let's have a bake sale. Nick Stevens to Colin Baker for the touchdown score. Now 14-0. Broncos in charge. Vista getting it done on the ground as well. Keyshawn Holmes, number 4, going to work all the way, shaking and baking, would not be taken down all the way down to the 5-yard line. Then Bees in the trap. It's Bijan Hill finishing it off there, going to the right for the touchdown score. 21-0 the lead at that point, and 38-0 would be the final. Vista Marietta just dominating the Southwest. There is not a new sheriff in town. The sheriff continues to reign. It's Wyatt Earp, also known as Vista Marietta Broncos.
Scary good. Just looking at the highlights that you shot, Chris. I mean, the Chaparral's nothing to sneeze at. They're a very good team, and to see them move the ball like that. Plus, man, Vista Marietta, are they considered a passing team now? I mean, every time
Nick
you show
Stevens,
the highlights.
you could see him moving, and he was throwing some darts on the move there, Aaron Rodgers style. He's no Alex Smith. We're calling him an Aaron Rodgers.
He's probably far better than Alex Smith at this point anyways. Angel, let's take a look at the Southwestern League scores real quick. We got Chris here. There it is, 38-0. The Broncos, your league championship, beating the Pumas. Also tonight, Marietta Valley finishes runner-up in the Southwestern, winning 49-0 at Temecula Valley, and one more from the Southwestern. Great Oak defeating Marietta Mesa 37-21. All right, back here live in the lounge. Now we're moving on to the Sun Belt League, where it was an outright league championship being played.
It was a big-time showdown. Heritage and Elsinore, it would not disappoint. Heritage jumps out to the early lead. Limahai Hefo, the steamroller, gets in the touchdown for the 10-0 Heritage lead. 27-14 at halftime for Heritage. Now second half, I arrived, and they would bring the game right to me. Look at that, right into the HS Game Time studios. Kevin Gatrost. Speaking of impressive runs, check out this one from Elsinore's Shane Pico. Where's number 20 going like Barry Sanders? Steamrolling defenders, and just like Mahatma, he's Gandhi. For the Elsinore touchdown at 27-20 Heritage. Elsinore back at it, though. They would not be denied. It's Limahai Hefo, a.k.a. the Bone Crusher. Check out this hit at the goal line. Steamrolling defender. He's taking a little nap in the end zone. Then Heritage putting the game away on the 30-yard field goal by Logan Netter. Good night. Heritage would not be stopped since they joined the Sun Belt League. Pep, they have not lost a game. I was granted that statistic tonight, and that is sure impressive. Much I say, they were without one of their prime timers, Allensworth, tonight, so definitely putting on a show.
Where was my guy, Darius Allensworth, Megatron?
He apparently, it's questionable up in the air that he has a torn ligament in his knee. It's up in the air right now, to be determined. Good. He's going to try his best to get back in the game. Jamal Morrow was also banged up, limited carries tonight. He carried, I think, 13 times. Alan told me he carried 13 times in the first half, none in the second half. It was all the HEFO power game in the second half. We had quite a demonstration by the HEFOs.
All right, before we're going to talk a little more about the Sun Belt League, but I want to tell Angel out there real quick that Dennis Pope is supposed to be coming up next with the North against Arlington highlights from the Inland Valley League. So if Javier and Dennis Pope have those highlights ready, just let us know because he's going to be coming up next. So, Angel, if you can check on that. All right, so from back to the Sun Belt League, those HEFO guys, they keep coming through the system, and they're all great players, and they lead Heritage to another championship.
I was asking during the game, I said, how many HEFOs are there at the school? They said, I think there's about 10, and apparently it's like a minor league farm system. There apparently there's a few more coming up on the JV that are, as soon as these current HEFOs on Varsity Lima High and Company are done, there's going to be a fresh batch.
Marvin, and I think the Taki Takis are
cousins
Taki
of the HEFOs. Yeah, Taki Taki was getting in the mix tonight too. All those guys, they definitely eat their Wheaties, that's for sure.
And then Jamal Morrow, who they rested last week, his little brother,
is apparently going to be the next star. And apparently Chad Virgil, the former quarterback at Heritage, his brother's the next Peyton Manning over there at Heritage as well. So it's a real family tradition.
Yeah, and when they say they're a football family, they really mean it at Heritage with all these younger kids coming up. So Heritage, last year they made it to the CIF championship game. Do you remember that? You were there too, weren't you?
Heritage Summit Shootout. It could line up to be that again.
Yeah,
but with Coach Broach and his Brady bunch of HEFOs, you never know what might happen.
And let's not forget about the Taki Takis.
And the Taki Takis.
So Elsinore, my guy Shane Pico.
Shane Pico, it looked like Barry Sanders out there. He's steamrolling. Maybe definitely the run of the week. I gotta say, watch out if you didn't see it. If you want to see it again, check it out on Plays of the Week. I would not be surprised if you see it on there.
You probably will. All right, thanks, Chris. We got you coming up a little bit later in the show as we break down the Southwestern and Sun Belt Leagues once again. But let's take a look at the scores from the Sun Belt League. And Heritage winning 37-20 as they go 5-0 in league play. They are your Sun Belt League champions once again. 9-1 overall. Elsinore finishes runner-up in the league at 4-1, 7-3 on the season. Temescal Canyon defeats Paris 35-22. And one more score from the Sun Belt League. It's Paloma Valley all over Lakeside, 56-7. So the Wildcats go 7-3 overall, 2-3 in league play. All right, Angel, let's come back here live in the studio. We were trying to get some Arlington North highlights. We're still working on that. If we can't do it, we'll definitely get it in the Saturday scouting report as we break down all the highlights. We are going to have Dennis Pope in here as well talking, but we're going to skip ahead and just show you the scores, at least for now, in the Inland Valley League. So, Angel, if you can crank up the scores, we'll at least talk about it. We'll show you what happened tonight in the Inland Valley League as the Rancho Verde was playing for a share of the title, and the winner of North against Arlington would also earn a stake in the IVL championship. All right, so, Angel, if you've got it, let's go to the scoreboard. Hey, Angel, let's go to the Inland Valley. There it is, Inland Valley League scoreboard. 28-6, North defeats Arlington. So, the Huskies earn a piece of the IVL championship, 28-6. Also from the IVL tonight, the Rancho Verde playing for a split of the title, and they beat Vista del Lago 40-0. So they finish 5-1 in league, as does North. And one more from the IVL tonight, and that would be Valley View and Canyon Springs. Valley View wins 35-0, your final score. All right, so that's the Inland Valley. Now we're moving on to the Big 8 League. And Centennial taking on, let's come back out here live in the studio as we move on to the land of the Big 8. Centennial and Santiago. The winner is your league champion. It was that simple. And Centennial has dominated this league in recent years. All right, Angel, let's go ahead and roll that video. Centennial and the Sharks playing on the road at Santiago, as they call it, the Rumble for Rimpa. Go ahead and roll that video, Angel, as Centennial was playing for the league championship once again. They have dominated this league in recent years. That's Austin Rankin ripping off the big run for Centennial. He did the work, let him get paid. Later on that drive, Rankin pushes in the score to get Centennial on the board. Then later on that drive, or on the ensuing drive, Santiago's quarterback Michael Darr to Huffman, Jordan Huffman for the big gain. That would lead to a Santiago touchdown. But back the other way, it's my beats by Trey. Trey Watson for the Huskies goes in for the touchdown there. Back and forth all night. Well, at least in the first half, it was a shootout. Quarterback Michael Darr to Dorian Barnett gets across midfield, and Centennial creates the turnover, and they are there to recover. So Weber, Robert Weber, the quarterback, goes back to work, hits Chase Cravache for the big gain, and then same drive, it's Weber hooking up with Cravache again on the outside, up the sideline, and in for the score. Another Centennial touchdown. Back the other way, Darr trying to lead his team to victory in the rumble on Rimpaw to Huffman again. That's quite the duo for Santiago, all the way down inside the 20, down at the 10-yard line, and Darr would cap off that drive, calling his own number on the keeper. Michael Darr in for the touchdown for Santiago. Then back the other way, Centennial would have an answer. My beats by Trey. Trey Watson in for the touchdown. And then it's Weber to Ryan Pascarella, all alone by himself. He's a loner, in for the touchdown there. And to make matters worse for Santiago on the ensuing drive, quarterback Michael Darr goes down hard, looks like his knee. He would leave the game, and he would not come back as Centennial goes on to defeat Santiago by a final score of 70-28. Now, EPJ was supposed to be in here next to talk about the game. And let's go ahead and go to the Big 8 scoreboard, and we'll get EPJ to kind of talk about what happened in there. So, Angel, let's go to the Big 8 scores. We'll tell you what happened tonight as Javier gets EPJ. All right, the big game for the league championship, Centennial and Santiago. Let's go ahead and punch up those scores, Angel, as Centennial goes 5-0 in league play. 70-28 your final, and EPJ will tell us how the Huskies rolled up 724 total yards. 42? 42. 742. Total yards, setting a new school record, 70-28, the final score. Also from the land of the Big 8, Norco winning 29-8. They finished 6-4 overall, 3-2 in league, and one more from the land of the Big 8. That would be Corona and Roosevelt. Tony Brill and the Mustangs win 52-41, your final score. All right, EPJ, live here in the HS Game Time Lounge. He was at the Big 8 championship game. First half, back and forth, and then Centennial just too much offense and pulled away, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of Centennial's offense scoring on its first 5 possessions and then 9 of 12 possessions tonight, and then you throw in the fact Santiago losing Michael Darr in the middle of the second quarter to a foot injury. You know, it's tough to keep up with maybe the area's best offense when your top player's out. So definitely a great performance by Centennial's offense, despite 8 false start penalties.
Oh, I bet you Matt Logan will not be happy about that as they head to the playoffs. So Centennial wins the league championship once again. They're number 2 in our rankings. Where do they kind of fit as we look at the CIF brackets, which will come out on Sunday?
They're definitely, I think today they clinched that number 2 playoff seed. We're going to see Vista Murrieta as the 1, Centennial as the 2, Upland will be the 3, Charter Oak will be the 4. Those will be the seeds in the Inland Division. After that, we'll see. You know, I think Centennial right now, I think you're looking at the Inland Division being a 3-horse race. You have Vista Murrieta, you have Centennial, and you have Upland. So, but Centennial's offense, looking as strong as it's been, like you said, 742 yards. School record for sure, and I'm looking into the fact that it may be an area record. I don't think I can find any other instance of anyone going over 700 yards. So, and it's all balanced. They had 414 passing, 328 rushing. The rushing yards were kind of mixed between Trey Watson and Austin Rankin, and the receiving yards all over the place today. And Chase Cravache setting a school record with 14 receptions today.
Wow. The big question I was curious about was, did Sammy Logan dress out? Was she in uniform, or was she even at the game?
She dressed out and she played.
She did.
She was in the last drive. The crowd started the "We Want Sammy" chants, and the Centennial got down inside the 20 with a couple minutes left. Sammy came in, handed off a couple times. Marquise, I believe his last name is Watson, the kind of the third string running back. Mm-hmm. had a clear path for a touchdown. This could have been 77-28, and he kind of slid down at the 2-yard line. I think in his mind he was thinking, maybe we can give Sammy that chance to throw, but Coach Logan let the clock run out, before he basically said with the score the way it already was, he wasn't going to kind of rub it in. So, if the score had been maybe in the 50s or 40s, maybe he gives Sammy that chance to throw the touchdown pass, but already up by 42 points, he's not going to kind of rub that one in.
All right, so looking ahead to the playoffs, you've crunched the numbers, you look at the possibilities and the scenarios. Looks like maybe Redlands for Centennial. Is that what we're looking at? I
mean, it's quite a possibility. It'd be a tough draw, but Centennial's going to get one of the third-place teams. It could be a Great Oak. It could be, a South Hills. But how I'm looking at it right now, it was going to be the third-place team out of the CBL, which has come down to Redlands right now, and that was the matchup last year. Mm-hmm. So with Centennial winning by
the Terriers actually gave a game, right?
Yeah, it was 49-35, I believe. So that would be a tough first-round matchup for both sides. I mean, tougher than expected than Centennial's had for a first round, and obviously Redlands to go from sitting on top of the CBL to maybe having to face the number 2 seed, that could be a tough one. But a lot of great matchups. The one I definitely think we're going to see in the first round is Rev versus Chaparral. I'm almost believing that's going to happen. So.
And that would be at Rev, correct?
Yeah, that would be at Rev, and those teams are very familiar in the playoffs. This would be, I believe, the 4th time in 6 years that these teams would be facing each other in the playoffs. So, but that looks almost. I would almost be willing to bet some money on that one.
So Santiago, runner-up in the Big 8, where does that leave them for the playoffs?
I think right now they're going to be in that, if you look at the brackets, in the 8-9 spot. So my guess is, whether or not they host, we'll see. Usually when it's a 2 versus 2, it's always a coin flip. I think right now, if I had to take a guess, they're either going to see Eisenhower or they're going to see potentially... They could see Rancho Cucamonga.
Wow.
So it's going to be a tough draw either way. I mean, I think they'd rather see Ike right now. Cucamonga, obviously, a very tough team, and who knows with what Michael Dar's situation is. He's going to be reevaluated. They don't think it's too serious, but yeah.
Was it his knee? It looked like his knee.
It's his foot. They believe it's a pretty bad sprain on his arch of his right foot. So.
And that was the second quarter when he went down.
Yeah, or in the second quarter when it was 28-14, and Dar had both touchdowns to start off. He had thrown for 170 yards, so he's clearly the big part of the offense. Now his backup came in, had some good moments, threw 2 touchdown passes, but he's only a sophomore. Tough for your first game. to be against Centennial.
League title, yeah, against
Centennial. And he did end up throwing 3 interceptions. But even if Michael Dar can't go, they're not totally at a loss. Mm-hmm. I believe Blake Barnett could come in, and he's got good throwing ability. He may not have just the dynamic game-breaking speed that Michael Dar can put out there, because Centennial, they were chasing him all over the field and they couldn't catch up with them. But even if Santiago gets past the first round game, if they're in that 8-9 spot, they're looking at a second round game with Vista Murrieta.
Yeah, that Jordan Huffman receiver, he's a good one too. That combination with Dar and Huffman.
They had 2 really long pass plays. Jordan Huffman, he's a transfer from Roosevelt. Both teams today had receivers who were transfers from Roosevelt. Jordan Huffman from Santiago, Devontae McNeely on Centennial. And interesting, on the sidelines of Santiago was Bill Stacy, former Roosevelt coach whose son plays for Santiago. And yet he was like, yeah, I got 2 of my former guys out there on different teams now. So, it's pretty interesting to see that. But, yeah, Jordan Huffman has definitely, he wasn't eligible until he was under one of the new transfer rules, didn't become eligible until October, but he's become another impact player. And with the loss of A.J. Mose at receiver, he's kind of stepped in and become that number 2 option behind Dorian Barnett.
Gotcha. All right, EPJ, he's the best. He'll break it down, and we'll do it. Will you be here Sunday or Monday, or we'll do something with the playoffs, I'm sure.
We'll do something. I'll be working. I'm working all weekend. So.
All right, thank you, EPJ. Angel, let's go now to the River Valley scoreboard, because we already took a look at the Big 8. Now we'll go to the River Valley as Norte Vista ran the table. They went a perfect 5-0 in the River Valley League as they beat Patriot tonight. So let's go to the River Valley League scoreboards. Next. There they are. 24-16, your final score as Norte Vista wins the maiden voyage in the River Valley League as Patriot finishes 3-6-1. They had that tie, remember, 1-4 in league play. Also in the River Valley, Moreno Valley and La Sierra, the Vikings win 30-6. So they finish 8-2 overall, 4-1 in league. And one more from the River Valley League. 43-41, Jurupa Valley is victorious as Ramona remains winless as they go 0-10 in the 2012 season. All right, back here live in the studio, we're going to try to get Dennis Pope. Angel, we're going to try to get Dennis Pope and the North Arlington highlights one more time right at the end of the show, right before we close out. So in just a little bit, it looks like we're going to talk to Chris Erickley. He has highlights of Vista Marietta against Chaparral and also Elsinore against Heritage. And then right after Chris, we'll bring Dennis Pope in. We'll talk about the Arlington North matchup and show those highlights. But now the show rolls on with the Mountain Valley League. Rim of the World and Banning playing for the league championship, and it was simple in this one. Banning undefeated league play. If they won, the title is theirs. But if the Fighting Scots came down the mountain and pulled off a win, they would earn a share of that championship. All right, let's go ahead and roll the highlights out there. Excuse me, Rim taking on the Broncos. And if you know anything about Rim and Banning, it's that they have two great running backs. Well, you could say Sty Harrison's a quarterback, but he's also a runner. That's Jacob Taylor for the Fighting Scots. Two of the top runners in the area. In fact, statistically, they've got more yards than anybody else. Taylor went for a touchdown, then Sty Harrison answered with a touchdown. That means push-ups out there at Banning for the cheerleaders. And then Jacob Taylor goes in for another touchdown. I think you kind of see where I'm going with this. Back and forth, it was Sty Harrison versus Jacob Taylor. Each guy's breaking off long runs. In fact, Taylor trying to chase down Sty Harrison there on that touchdown run. And they just went back and forth all night long. Taylor ripping off another long run here for a touchdown. But the Broncos would always have an answer. You know what they're going to do. It's just hard to stop. They give the ball to Sty Harrison in at quarterback, and he breaks off another long run here in for a touchdown as Banning goes on to win the Mountain Valley League Championship, the outright title by a final score. Let's see, I got it here, 49-41, your final. All right, so let's take a look. Yeah, get some water, Sty. You earned it. Let's take a look at those other scores from the Mountain Valley League tonight. There's the big one, 49-41. Banning is a winner. Citrus Valley, they defeat Jurupa Hills 28-21. The Blackhawks 5-5 overall, 3-2 in league play, and one more from the Mountain Valley League, and that would be Rubidoux defeating Notre Dame 45-13 down at RCC. All right, back here live in the studio. Now we're moving on to the Mountain Pass League. Citrus Hill looking to keep their undefeated season intact, taking on West Valley, looking to go to 5-0 in the Mountain Pass and lock up another league championship. All right, let's roll the video, Angel, the highlights from there. The Hawks all fired up. Excuse me. Early in this one, Trevor Hodge looking the pass, but there is the Mustangs coming up with the interception. Jordan Tabor doing the honors. And then later, quarterback Austin Roselle to John Goodman for the touchdown for West Valley as the Mustangs jump out in front. Back come the Hawks. Quarterback Trevor Hodge to KJ Young right into your living room, ties the game at 7 apiece. And then it's Roselle, the deep ball to Lorenzo Terry. The great catch here. He nearly goes in for a touchdown, just drugged down there about the 35-yard line of Citrus Hill. But later on that drive, Jake Brown coming up with the INT excuse me, for Citrus Hill. And then it's coming up with some more defense here. No, not really. We're looking for Trevor Hodge, and there he is going in for the touchdown here. Citrus Hill led 14-7 at that point. There was some moments of defense. Melvin Williams will tell you about it. He's got the big play there on the Citrus Hill Department of Defense. And then later, it's Terry picking off Hodge. So each team's coming up with some big defensive plays in the first half. But it was there's another one, another big play by Citrus Hill. And but it was more so the offense. But there was, like, as we mentioned, some great defensive plays. Steven Van Hook coming up there, tackling for the loss. So there's your defense, but let's get back to the offense because it was dominated by great offensive plays. Roselle to Elijah Brown, the fingertip catch for the touchdown. That ties the game at 14. And then later, Hodge to KJ Young. Great pass there to move the chains, and later on that drive, P.J. Walker goes in for the touchdown. And then Citrus Hill will get the ball back before halftime. It's Hodge to KJ Young, one of his great grabs in the game, hauls it in wrestles it away for the catch, and that sets up another P.J. Walker touchdown. Citrus Hill goes on to win by final score, and it was a shootout, folks. 76-41, your final score. All right, take a look at the other scores from the Mountain Pass League tonight in week number 10. As we told you, Citrus Hill, your league champion. But let's look at the other scores. 76-41, your final. San Jacinto, a 1-point winner against him at 27-26. And that game, as most of you know, is the Victory Bell game. So the Victory Bell going back to San Jacinto as the Tigers win by a point. Let's see, and one more, Beaumont and Tahquitz. We're going to get to those highlights in just a little bit as Beaumont wins 35-33. So Beaumont finishes runner-up in league play. All right, back here live in the studio. We're going to take you to that Tahquitz-Beaumont game. And it was back and forth. Our guy Javier Cabrera got there at halftime, and Beaumont was actually trailing 21-7, but they got back in the game in a hurry, the Cougars, with a big second half. Let's roll those video highlights, Angel. And here come the Cougars, come fired up after halftime as they were battling Tahquitz for second place. That is the quarterback. No, not Josh Martin. That's their new quarterback, Jacob Ulibarri, to Alan Hendy for the touchdown. And then another Beaumont touchdown by Ulibarri makes it 21-21. But Tahquitz would have an answer through the air. Talton Tavares, the touchdown catch, and the Titans go up 27-21 to the fourth quarter. Ulibarri rolls out, hooks up with the former quarterback Josh Martin for the touchdown, and Beaumont is back on top 28-27. Greg Rincon busting off a big run for Beaumont here. He's going to go in for the touchdown. The Cougars on top 35-27. And then Tim Neely answers for Tahquitz. He goes in for the score. That makes it 35-33. They go for the 2-point conversion and the tie, but Beaumont gets the stop. And that would be it as Beaumont wins 35-33. All right, back here live in the studio. As we told you, Eisenhower won on Thursday night, so Eisenhower is a co-league champion in the Citrus Belt League. But let's punch up the Citrus Belt League scoreboard from tonight because Redlands East Valley was also playing for a league championship. They beat Cajon 35-14. So the Wildcats do earn a share of the title. Excuse me. And the other one from the Citrus Belt League, Yucaipa, BG3, Billy Gustafson the third, and the T-Birds win 17-7 against Miller. All right, back here live in the lounge, Chris Erickley here with all your Southwest area highlights. Right, Chris?
Pep, I just want to remind the people that I bet you $500 Vista Marietta would go undefeated in the regular season, so I'm here to collect.
Yeah. Okay. You really went out on a limb on that one.
Just kidding, April Fools. Anyways, back to the lecture at hand. Vista Marietta at home in the final Southwestern League showdown of the year, and Vista would not disappoint. Chaparral and Vista, not exactly best of friends, but one team would come out and show their work on the field. That would be the Broncos. Let's roll to the highlights. Let's fire up the fight song. Coley Candell and Sua. Coley saying, "Hey, Sua, did you record HS Game Time Live? Because I hate when I miss it. I also hate when Sua doesn't catch the first ball of the game, but hey, he would not disappoint, shrugging off the defender right there. Then once again, everyone in the stadium knew it was coming, but you just can't stop it. Not even open really at all. Sua Cravens catching the touchdown anyways. Vista getting things done on defense as well. Bryce Smith comes up with the Chaparral fumble, and it's back to work on offense for the Broncos. More of the same. Stevens to Cravens once again. Sua, we know he loves the camera, so he comes right up into the HS Game Time studios, right in your face. Then Vista Marietta, all about fundraisers. Let's have a bake sale. It's Nick Stevens to Colin Baker for the touchdown score, 14-0. Vista Marietta. Vista getting it done on the ground as well. Keyshawn Holmes looking to run right home Forrest Gump style, going all the way down to the 5-yard line. He would not be taken down right there, maybe the 4-yard line. Then his buddy Bazan Hill finishes it off, running off to the right, giving Vista the 21-0 lead late in the second quarter, and the rest would be history. 38-0. Vista Marietta throws the shutout Barry Zito style, and that is how it would go out there tonight in Marietta.
Big hanging curve.
Yeah,
the Broncos.
A big hanging curve from the Broncos.
All right.
That's how those Stevens floaters, they kind of remind me of a curveball.
Just dropping.
Boom. Bullet.
All right, let's go to the Sun Belt League. I'll let you talk. I'm having a hard time over here with my throat. But
Pep's all choked up. He's so excited about these games. They're choking him up.
League
it's getting
titles.
emotional. Elsinore and Heritage. Hefo, that's the man in charge for Heritage tonight. Lehigh with the steamroller. 10-0 lead for Heritage in the first quarter. 27-14, the halftime lead for Heritage. Now in the second half, I arrived, and they would bring the game right to me. Kevin Gatrost running right into the HS Game Time studio. Speaking of impressive runs, check out Shane Pico. Where's number 20? Running like Barry Sanders, smashing through defenders, and just like Mahatma, he is Gandhi. For the Elsinore, touchdown at 27-20. H-Town the lead at that point. Heritage back at it with the power running game. This one brought to you by the Bone Crusher. Lehigh, Hefo for yet another H-Town TD. The defender taking a little nap, shaking his head, had the birds flying around his noggin after that one. Now in the fourth quarter, Heritage puts the game out of reach with the 30-yard field goal from Logan Netter. They win 37-20 over Elsinore, and I am told since they joined the Sun Belt League, they are undefeated in league play. How about that? And without Darius Allensworth, he was out with a knee injury, and also Mr.
Jamal
Morrow was out for the second half of the game. As we know, he missed last week. He was a little roughed up, tried to do his part in the first half, carried about 35 yards worth of rushing in the first half, took off the second half, and they went to the Hefo family. When in doubt, go to the Hefo family.
You can't go wrong there, right?
Of course.
So they've dominated the Sun Belt now. Now they moved to the playoffs. They had that tough loss in the CIF championship game last year, so I don't know.
The only thing I would possibly be worried about last year with Chad Virgil, they had a little bit more dynamic of a passing game, a little bit more of a passing threat. At least when I saw them in the second half today, they were relying a lot more on the run game. Against San Jacinto, I did see them way early in the year, and they did have Allensworth throwing a few balls up to him, but Allensworth, will he play, will he not play? They still have talent without him, but definitely to have Allensworth on your side would be huge, not only for special teams, kickoff, punt returns, but also for the receiving passing game.
All right, one more thing, Chris, but let me tell Angel real quick. We're going to have the Inland Valley League game, Arlington against North highlights. If those are ready, we're going to get Dennis Pope to come in just a second. But so you went out there, and I guess you were the mayor of Heritage, right? They love HS Game Time.
Yeah, they were calling me by name out there. They were tweeting me. They were saying that they love HS Game Time. They were naming all the individual shows. They were saying, oh yeah, I see on HS Game Time Live, and I watched that thing on Saturdays too, and oh yeah, and you're in the Pick'em, and apparently they are just fine connoisseurs of HS Game Time. So we're gonna maybe have to get them running our PR department or something. Do we have that in the budget?
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough for all the Hefos. Here, I'll take that from you, Dennis. I don't know if we have enough for all the Hefos, but we could probably work it out if they're such big fans out there at Heritage High School.
They are. We hope that they make a deep run because that just means more traffic for our website. So win-win for everyone.
As long as the whole Hefo family's watching our shows, that could be thousands of hits there. Commercials,
here we come.
All right, thank you, Chris. All right, now we're going to those Arlington North highlights. As promised, Angel, if you got them, go ahead and just roll them as we look at the two teams battling for the Inland Valley League Championship. And that's Marcus Baugh, the Ohio State Buckeye, the future Buckeye, coming up with the interception there of Wyatt Moore. Then later, Denzel Foster. The big gain for the North Huskies here as they are moving the ball on the ground. And, gosh, Foster will just not go down. Dude will not take no for an answer. Then later, he did the work. Time to get paid. Foster goes in for the 1-yard touchdown run, made it 7-zip North. And then later, looks like Arlington punting. And that would be Denzel again, Denzel Foster. He does it all. I guess he runs the ball, does special teams. Nice play there. And then it's Foster in again for the score. Heavy dose of Denzel Foster for North tonight. Oh, little hook and ladder action. That's Reuben Kelly. I always say whether you're at the sandwich shop or on the football field, you always go with Reuben. He's got a nice play there. Then that was Martez Duarte in for the touchdown. And Dennis Pope, our guy here, was at the game. And I got to be honest, I think most of us picked Arlington, I think, in the
we all
news.
did.
We all picked Arlington. So what happened out there is North picked up a 28-6 win.
North forced 5 turnovers. Arlington had North had some turnovers of their own, but North played a lot better defensively against Arlington than we all thought they would, I think.
North is kind of a hard team to figure out, at least for me, because they played Rancho Cucamonga really tough, and then they've struggled against some other teams. So, but if you're peaking in time for the playoffs, I guess that's when it counts, right at the end of the season.
The quarterback, Joseph Garcia, was, I believe he was 17 of 24 for 170 yards. He had a late touchdown pass. It seemed once there was another interception by Shaquille Jones that he returned 68 yards for a touchdown. That was pretty much the backbreaker for Arlington early in the third quarter. And then they added another touchdown late. But Foster, they gave him the ball 24 times, and he had almost 200 yards. And he was pretty much their go-to guy. This is the first time that I'd seen North this season, so I was actually quite impressed with them. Last year, they were fantastic offensively. They had Justin Georgie as their quarterback.
They had Aaron Peck, who was a big receiver out there on the outside.
And Joseph Garcia, he's a lot like Justin Georgie. He might be even a little bit taller, maybe a little bit better passer. Georgie was a great scrambler, so I don't really see that from Garcia. So they're a little bit different, but the pieces, the explosive plays are still there for North, and that has a lot to do with Foster also getting the ball. He probably had close to 40 touches tonight with the punt returns and
He's their go-to guy, which top to bottom, the Inland Valley League was kind of wacky this season. I mean, Rancho Verde lost to Pauley, and then they kind of took turns beating each other up, and then at the end it was Rancho and North finishing in first place. Arlington was undefeated, and they dropped their last 2. So, I mean, have you had a chance to look at the IVL as a whole, and what are your thoughts?
Just the 3 playoff teams: Rancho Verde, which I haven't seen, and then North tonight, and I've seen Arlington a couple times this season. Arlington's defense, I think, is as good as there is in Riverside City, which I don't know how much that says, but I thought tonight that they'd come in and they'd stifle North, but it just seems like maybe they're a little bit tired. Losing to Rancho Verde, might have taken something out of them last week, trying to play so hard to stay undefeated and then actually losing. It's probably a heartbreaker for them. So they probably couldn't get up again to play an explosive North team, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, that was a double overtime loss to Rancho, and Arlington led the Rancho Verde 14-0 at halftime, and it kind of unraveled in the second half as we mentioned, as they went to double overtime. So, but all 3 are going to the playoffs, in terms of Arlington, North, and the Rancho Verde. Rancho Verde, the defending champion in the Central Division. So we'll see if they can kind of right the ship. And
I think Pauley's victory over Rancho kind of threw a corkscrew into everybody's view of the league.
Yeah.
But it seems like Rancho Verde's righted the ship, and they're probably ready to go. I would think that they're going to win at least a playoff game at home. So North, they may or may not get a playoff game at home. They finished with just a 6-4 record overall, although their 4 losses were to playoff teams. And then Arlington, all their losses are to playoff teams too. But as the number 3 seed in the IVL, they're not going to get a home game, and they probably have to travel to play somebody's league champion, which will be a tough task.
I don't have EPJ's sheet in front of me, but you could probably confirm this. So Rancho would go in as the 1,
that's right.
North the 2, and then Arlington the 3.
Because Rancho beat both
head
North.
to head. Yeah. All right, that's Dennis Pope, Fieldhouse of My Brains, the blog. We always blow it up. Boom. That just happened. All right, let's take a quick look. Angel, can we go back to the Inland Valley League scoreboard? We'll just close on that real quick and show you those scores. As we mentioned, a split championship in the IVL this season as the Rancho Verde defeated Vista del Lago tonight. And
was that a victory or was that a complete blowout?
I think it was 42-0. We'll get to it in just a second. But the Mustangs, as many kind of thought going into it, didn't have a wrong. There it is.
What would Rancho Verde?
Nothing.
What are they thinking about their loss to Pauley right now? They could be 8-2, 6-0.
I was actually at that game for the first half, and I'm not really sure what happened. I like to do the eye test. If they've got some size on the line and good skill position players, you kind of get a feel of who's gonna do what this season. And you look at Rancho Verde, and you're like, oh, these guys are probably the best. They could hang with Vista Murrieta if they wanted to, kind of. But that's why they play the games, I guess. Valley View.
Valley View might get a wild card.
Finishing 5-5 overall, 3-3 in league play.
Depending on what the other teams in that spot look like, because the Central Division does have a
wild card out of it. So Valley View would finish 4th in the IVL, and as Dennis mentioned, still in the mix. Canyon Springs, they went winless last year, but they get 2 wins this season. They finished 2-8, 0-6 in the IVL. All right, Dennis, I'm glad we squeezed you in here at the very end.
Thank you, Pep.
Appreciate it. So let's come back here live in the studio as we wrap this thing up. Thank you for joining us here on HS Game Time Live. We will have even more highlights, and we'll talk about league champions and kind of look forward to Sunday's CIF playoff brackets on the Saturday Scouting Report. So please come back here to HS Game Time on Saturday afternoon, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we will have the Saturday Scouting Report for you. And we'll be back here live Friday night with the first round of the CIF playoffs. For everyone here at HS Game Time, I'm Pep Fernandez, and we'll do it again next Friday.